Why, hello there, David Bradley, aka Schizophreniforms, and this is just a quick check-in to talk about the first week of the Viking Challenge. It might seem entirely unnecessary, but it's a very short video, so bear with it if you've got the time. So what's happened? I've been very strict with my diet, and I've also managed to get down from 15 a day to around 5 a day with cigarettes. I've completely stopped drinking coffee. Which has made a huge difference to my energy levels, actually. Like, I'm just, yeah, and I've been continuing to cycle. I've had 0 diazepam, that's correct, 0 diazepam throughout the entire week, which is quite, it's been ongoing. It's been about 3 weeks now of no diazepam, which is like kind of a record for me in the past, like, maybe 10 years, maybe even 15. I've been on them for a long time, but intermittently. But yeah, it's quite good. I'm quite proud of that. Yeah, so 0 diazepam, 1 cup of coffee on the Monday last week, and then it's in 10 minutes it'll be Monday again. My beard is coming on rather nicely, I think. It's could have been shaven with these little cornerstone razors that I got. It's like a package where they just send you it every 18 weeks or something like that. It's quite cool though. It's growing in. My head's slowly re-establishing follicle growth, which is quite cool. And so next week we're starting with this next week that starts in 10 minutes. I'm having my first session tomorrow with a personal trainer. I'm not going to say who it is until I've got whether I've got consent to point that out, but he's a cool guy. We're going to be looking at posture correction. Because I've got like droopy shoulders. I've got years and years of playing the bass all tucked up like this, and just lethargy and apathy in general, and all that kind of like good, supposedly rock star musician shit that hasn't served me in any way, shape or form, and it's just degraded my body. And yeah, so like basically I'm going to move forward with that. I'm going to be training twice a week, so I'm quite excited about this. It's going to be cool. Like, and I've been cycling a hell of a lot. Like, it's been every day, probably, because it's been casually most days for like 3 weeks, but this week I've just been meticulous on it, really intensive bike ride every single day. And I've done some cool shit. I went on, I did like an hour-long one, which was more casual, with my mate Eddie. It was really cool, and we talked about philosophy while we were cycling for ages, and that was really cool. I ate my rabbit. I managed to quarter my rabbit. That was quite an interesting process, because it was like quite grim, to be fair, like separating a spine in this little tiny thing that looks like a tiny human. It was kind of gross, but I did it. And I got some really good meat off it. It was really nutritious. It like really felt like it was really good, and I felt much less guilty about it, because it's basically a wild animal. It lived a life, so that didn't really. Yeah, I kind of overrode the cycle, because I know that I want to eat meat. I know that it benefits me to eat meat. I know that I get nourishment from it. I'm of the opinion, which is relatively scientifically backed, that we're omnivores, and although there's ways to acquire all these things from other sources now, we have the food technology to do that. My body is acclimatized and most efficient whilst eating meat, I feel. I may look into that I may change my perspective in the future, but if I'm going to eat meat, I'd rather it be from game, from a wild animal that's lived a relatively long and healthy life. And it's despite the grossness of chopping it up, it felt morally like the better choice. Like, and I've been looking into maybe doing shooting, maybe possibly going hunting at some point with air rifles. Maybe I don't know about that for certain, but contemplating the possibility of maybe like actually doing some hunting, because I reached this conclusion like after quartering the rabbit, just like that I've thought for a long time. It's from my dad, a lot of this sort of perspective, because he took me to various farms when I was a kid, and I had some kind of. It wasn't harrowing at all, but it gave me, like, seeing a bucket of turkey heads, for example, at a relatively young age. Not like wee nipper, but like I think I was probably younger than 12. I can't really remember. I'll ask my dad and check. But the point being that it gave me a realistic perspective that these animals that are giving their lives, and you should appreciate what you've got. You should appreciate that the animal has sacrificed its life for you to continue your existence, and that although that's part of the sort of nature of how we consume animals, that we need to respect that and appreciate and actually have a realistic idea of what it is that you're actually doing when you eat meat, rather than just buying chicken nuggets and just going, yeah, that's food. So I'll be back in 1 second with the second half of this brief video. What we got? We got 2 kilograms for a tenner of chicken breast fillets. And we've got hack or hake or hake or however you say it, bassa, one for each day, and some cheeky battered calamari. They're more for enjoyment. Still got about 1/4 kilo of long grain white rice, and then I've still got a full kilo, I believe. Let's say, where does it say? Oh, spilling it. Quite a lot of brown rice anyway, so that's good. And that's my food for the week, and then accompanied by the remainder of my kale, which is like, again, quite about 100 grams of kale. And then I got baby spinach as well. So I'm going basically all of this. Some of this will blend over into a second week because I'm not going to spend that much money on food next week, so I still have quite a bit left. But that's a good chunk of protein and carbs and macronutrients. Yeah. And to flavour our chicken, we've got oregano, basil, thyme, marjoram, or parsley, and the classic monosodium glutamate flavour enhancer, and nice garam masala. Now this you might be a bit spurious about, but I've seen an article recently suggesting that it actually isn't as bad as people think, and that there's not really any evidence that it's as bad as they thought in the first place, and that most of those studies were biased or inaccurate and based on jaded information. But either way, I'm going to put it on my chicken and show you when it's done. This is our finished garam masala MSG mixed herb chicken. Nicely roasted, all the juices are nice and clear, lovely. And then we've got turmeric, garlic powder, mixed herbs, a little bit of paprika, and obviously peas in brown rice. And we've got about 1 kilo there, 2 kilos of chicken. So 3 kilos of food. I'm going to aim for that to last me about 2 weeks, but we'll see how big the belly wants to get. Groovy. That's all my cooking done for the week anyway. About 10 days worth of chicken and rice, so it's bagged up. Chicken at the bottom there, and lovely, ridiculous portion of rice. Don't know why though, I don't think I quite need that much rice, but that's what I cooked. So that's where we go. Damn baby. Yeah. So it's the end of day 1, and my first session with my personal trainer. Yeah, shit, yeah, motherfucker. And I am destroyed already. We only did like an hour, but like literally it felt like it just breezed by. It was amazing, and like there was some times where I sincerely thought I was going to faint in one of them actually, because I was getting this kind of weird in my shoulder. I was getting like a certain sensation, and it was just like I couldn't, like I was like ah! But in general, like, because it was just the assessment sort of first session, it didn't push me that hard. But at the same time, like, my body's knackered, like my lower back's really fucked, and like, but not damaged fucked, just like it's had a good stretch, like and yeah, just achy and stuff. But I'm feeling really cool. Yeah, it was really invigorating, and I haven't had any cigarettes today, not a single goddamn cigarette for the first time in 3 months, and then before that in like a couple of years since I've had no cigarettes. I've been wearing a nicotine patch as well. This is really low nicotine vape. It's like 0.3 milligrams, so it's quite good. And I've got my nice hairy shoulder there. So yeah, just sort of a quick, brief rundown just of the first day, because I mentioned earlier in the video that I was seeing my PT today, and it went amazingly. Yeah, so it's really good. So I'm excited about that, and that's pretty much all I had to say on that matter. So yeah, that's just a brief review of week 1. Just a hopefully quite short, succinct session, just for those of you who are interested, and if you are following it, then you can sort of watch this as just a little bit of a check-in. And yeah, I'm sure there'll be posts and videos and photos, and I'm going to make a little collage each week of like little photos and videos of things I've done, and kind of check in each week, even if it's just for my own entertainment, so I've got a record of it. Check in each week what I've done and what I've progressed with. So yeah, I'm David Bradley, aka Schizophrenic Forms. See you in a week.